Hello everyone, welcome back on our YouTube channel. As you know that in the last video we have covered topic number 5.5, which is about the risk and testing. How the risk actually you could have, what kind of risk you could have in your product life cycle or in the project life cycle. Different type of risks we have gone through. Now it is the last topic of this chapter, which is also very important, uh, not only to understand as a software tester, but as a developer in some cases, even for the ISTQB exam as well. So what is defect management? So like as a name is suggesting, how you are managing the defect, what is the process in your company, like to manage, to handle the defects. If like for example, you have as a tester you found a bug, let's say. So now you say the ticket is open, it will like let's say go to the developer, and developer will work on it, will fix it. And then after fixing, either it is like it will be like it will be tested again, as we know, confirmation testing and regression if you want. And if it is working fine, no bug is defected again, no bug is found again, then it will be closed. Otherwise it will be reopened and other factors will come around. So then like how actually you tell the developer that there is some problem, you make a defect report. Like sometime it is even also known as incident report in ISO documents, but defect report and incident report. So then developer actually you will tell like where I identified, in which version, this we will see in detail. So it's always about the defect management, to track the defect. Like defect management is not about informing the developer, but also track the defect, like defect from time of recording. You have to track the defect from time of recording until like either it is reopened, it is closed, or by the test manager it is this fixing has been postponed to the next release. Like sometime all the defects are not resolved, you plan it to like fix it in the next release. So there are like the complete defect management and defect tracking system comes under defect management. So since one of the objective of testing is to find defects found during testing should be logged. So if you are finding some defect during testing, they should be logged. Like they should be written somewhere, they should be logged in the tool or whatsoever you are using. The way in which defects are logged may vary depending on the context of the component or system being tested, the test level, and the software development lifecycle model. Like there are different ways how sorry, how you are going to log this defect. Like it depends like which part, on which level of testing you are doing, which component you are testing, which software development lifecycle you are using. Any defect identified should be investigated and should be tracked from discovery and classification to their resolution, e.g. correction of the defects and successful confirmation retesting of the solution, deferral to subsequent release. Like as I told you, it is complete tracking starting from the recording. The test is like a defect is being found until how it is going. Like either the correction is done and confirmation testing is done, either it is being deferred or deferral to a subsequent release. Test manager decided this defect couldn't be removed during this release, so let's postpone to the next. This should also be in the defect tracking system. Acceptance as a permanent product limitation. Even sometime it is not possible to remove the defect, otherwise you have to rechange your product. So you accept it, you discuss it with the customer, and you accept it as a permanent product limitation. Like then you will like make a note with the product, like there is some limitation in the product. So it is all about defect management. In order to manage all defects to resolution, an organization should establish a defect management process which includes a workflow and rules for classification. Like you have to classify the rules, either like you should have a complete system. As we have a project management system, like a test management system, it will come, there will be a complete system of defect management as well. This process must be agreed with all those participating in defect management, including architects, designers, developer, tester, and product owner. In some organization, defect logging and tracking may be very informal, like maybe you are noting down in Word document and then you are telling the developer. But in some big companies, we have a complete defect management system. During the defect management process, some of the reports may turn out to describe false positive. I think this we have discussed a lot in chapter number 1, the false positive, false negative, not actual failures due to defect. Like sometime even you fall it like false positive, not actual failure or due to defect. For example, a test may fail when a network connection is broken or times out. Like it was not a real bug, but like actually it was it came during the testing. Maybe a tester was testing and he came to know there is a bug, but actually like this testing was dependent on the internet connection, let's say, and it was broken. So it was the problem at tester side. The behavior does not result from a defect in the test object, but is an anomaly that needs to be investigated. Tester should attempt to minimize the number of false positive reports reported as defects. So it is also a duty of tester that he should try to like if he is like updating something in defect management system as a defect, then he should be very careful about the false positives and false negatives. Defects may be reported during coding, static analysis, reviews, or during dynamic testing or use of a software product. There are different cycles like of development and testing where we can find the defect during coding, during static analysis, during reviews, whatsoever. Defect may be reported for issues in code or working system or in any type of documentation, including requirement, user stories, and acceptance criteria, development documents, test document, user manual, or installation guides. Like you can, as you know that it is highly preferred to start testing as early as possible whenever the requirements are available. Then you should start the testing from there. Then high level design, maybe you are going through documentation, over there you can find the defects. Then coding, then static analysis like reviews you are doing, then dynamic testing you are doing. In order to have an effective and efficient defect management process, organization may define standards for the attributes classification and workflow of defect. You should define, your organization should define in detail how our defect management system will work, how many classification we have for defects, and how the workflow will go. Typical defect reports have the following objectives. So what are the objectives of a defect report? Like we will see what is exactly inside the defect report. This we will see here in the next section. But right now, what are the typical objectives of defect report? Provide developer and other parties with information about any adverse event that occurred to enable them to identify specific effects, to isolate the problem with a minimal reproducing test, and to correct potential defect as needed to otherwise resolve the problem. So like it is a duty of like tester, like or for the defect report, he should provide the information what is the impact of that particular defect, and he should also tell a way like how this defect can be reproduced. Like for example, tester found it, and then he should tell the developer or the relevant person that you can again produce this defect. If you give that value, then you will get the defect. So maybe it will help the developer to fix the problem. Provide test manager a mean of tracking the quality of the work product and the impact on the testing. E.g., if a lot of defects are reported, the tester will have spent a lot of time reporting them instead of running test, and there will be more confirmation testing needed. So actually a test manager will have a feeling like if you provide the the defect reports, then test manager will come to know the quality, how good is the quality of work product. If so many defects, then maybe you need to rework on that work product. Otherwise, if this work product like is down the development phase, let's say, whatsoever you are doing, then tester will found more and more defects, and more fixing will be done by developer. And then what will be the problem? Tester will continuously giving the defects, the developer will continuously fixing a defect, and you have to do confirmation testing again and again. So whenever at early stage you have defect reports, you will come to know about the quality. Provide ideas for development and test process improvement. Like it also provide the ideas how the test how the development process can be improved, so that you have minimized your defects and even the test process. A defect report filed during dynamic testing typically includes, what exactly it includes? Sometimes we get a question in exam as well, so be focused about this. Like it will contain a defect report will contain an identifier, like who is the tester and who is identified the fault. A little and short summary of the defect being reported, like very quick summary, like what is the fault, what is the problem, like a very, like you can say a defect story, a very brief summary. Date of the defect report, issuing organization and the author as well, identifying of test item, configuration item being tested. Like you have also need to tell like which test item exactly was, like as we have discussed in configuration management topic as well, like you have to tell which was your environment in which you have found this defect, like which version, let's say, of the test item was, or the code was, and which environment it was. As I told you, the development lifecycle phases in which the defect was observed. Again, you have to tell in which cycle of the development you were, where you find that particular defect. A description of defect to enable reproduction and resolution. Like, you also need to tell, because maybe you have found that defect, but developer will not able to reproduce it again to check it what is the problem. So you have to tell at which values or exactly at which time you can like developer can again create that defect, so that he or she can see it. Include logs, database dumps, screenshot or recording if found during test execution. So anything if it's possible, if you are capturing these tools we have already discussed at chapter number 6 as well, we will discuss a capturing tool, for example. So like if you also have some recordings, like screenshots for sure, how they can be reproduced, everything, expected and actual results, like what exactly was expected and what you got as a test, scope or degree of impact, severity of the defect on the interest of stakeholders, urgency या priority to fix, like how much is it is urgent to maybe some as per your thinking, you think that no, that's fine, like it is not that urgent to be fixed, and discussing with test manager, and sometime you have to like fix it very early, as soon as possible. It could be a it could be a thing as well. State of the defect report, e.g. open, deferred, duplicate, waiting to be fixed, awaiting confirmation testing, reopen, close. Like again, like what is the current status of the defect, what is the problem, like at which stage you have or you are on the defect report. Conclusion, recommendation and approval. Just one important thing you need to know, like this defect report will never tell how to fix the fault, because it is the duty of developer. However, like developer will fix it anyhow, but like only the tester can give in defect management report is all about how you can reproduce, developer can reproduce for example this error again, this defect again, to fix it. So global issues such as other areas that may be affected by the change resulting from the defect. Change history, such as the sequence of actions taken by project team members with respect to the defect to isolate, repair and confirm it as fixed. So there are many things which are actually a part of defect report. References including test cases that reveal the problem. So everything you need to tell. So there are a lot of detail. Actually this defect report is also known as incident report. If you go to ISO, IEC or IEEE standard 29119, over there you can find this defect report also as an incident report. So just be sure, like about ISTQB exam, if you see, like as an example of content of defect report can be found in ISO standard here, which refers to defect report as incident report. So just remember this name. Sometime in exam they ask about incident report and students can be confused, like, so it's the same thing. Okay, so then some of these details may be automatically included or managed when using defect management tools. Like sometimes we have the tools which automatically, like whenever you get some defect, these all defects will be logged in the tool. So maybe you do not need to provide all of the detailed information to write it manually. Automatic assignment of the identifier, assignment and update of the defect report state during the workflow, etc. So everything, sometime if you are using some tool, it will be automatically noted down. Defects found during static testing, particularly reviews, will normally be documented in a different way in review meeting notes. Like if you are doing some reviews, static testing, let's say, this we have discussed in chapter number 3, then at that time, as you know, we are not doing dynamic testing, we are not running test cases, so they will not be automatically noted down. Then we have to note them down in review meeting reports. So I hope we have clarified you many things. So as I told you, sometime defects might be closed like even without fixing it, and as I told you, sometime it is like, it is thought as like it is a problem. As we have discussed in the last video, sometimes even this is detected as a permanent product limitation. So it is not possible that you will remove all the defects, and even sometimes defects can be can be deferred actually to the next release. Test manager decides, oh, it will not be possible to remove the defect, maybe in the next release we will do. And then defect reports, I told you, also contain the information about test environment, so that for example you are testing your you have different environments. Let's say you are testing your app also in iOS, in Android, let's say in Microsoft, different environments. Then you also need to tell the developer, sorry, to produce the fault in that environment so that he can fix. So everything is very important in the defect report, the contents it contains. So even I will tell you, like sometime as you know, in the agile development, the developer is responsible for the unit testing, let's say, or even during testing he will found some defect, and he or she will fix it at the same time. Then you don't need to report that defect. So like you don't need to raise the defect, like, or put it in the defect report if it was found by the developer and fixed. But when it is found by the tester, then the defect report, defect management system comes into consideration. So I hope I have clarified all the doubts. So if you have any question, any query, any doubt about these topics, segment number 5, feel free to comment below. So we are slowly heading towards the end of this video series. In the next video we will start chapter number 6, which is about the tools that are being used during the testing. Tools support for testing. It's a not that big chapter. I hope we will cover it in 3 to 4 videos. So friends, until the next video, we wish you happy landing. Have a nice day and bye.